125 years ago, Dr. John Pemberton started serving Coca-Cola in his Atlanta drugstore for 5 cents a glass. Today, the Coca-Cola company sells 1.7 billion beverages a day around the world. Neville Isdell spent 43 years at the company, serving as chairman and CEO from 2004 to 2009. He's now written a fascinating memoir, Inside Coca-Cola, a CEO's life story of building the world's most popular brand, and he joins us this morning in the studio. Nice to have you with us.
Very nice to be here.
You actually came out of retirement for that last stint.
Yes, I did. Actually,
Coca-Cola.
very interesting thing to happen. I mean, they don't normally call the old guys back, you know.
But they called you back because they really needed your help at that point. 2004 company had hit a rough patch, and you were really credited with not only turning around the business, but also company morale, which is integral to success.
Well, at the end of the day, you know, it's all about the people, and it's all about how they feel about coming to work every day. Now, translating that is difficult, but that's what it's all about.
So it's interesting because you actually called on a lot of things in your background. You studied social work in college. And how important was that in bringing that in to help turn things around at this company that you had done very well by before retirement, and then you came back to lead again?
Well, the lesson I actually got from social work is that you really can't tell people to do things. You've got to make them change themselves. So I've always tried to manage in terms of getting the facts out there, obviously leading in a certain direction, but also making sure I was getting commitment, because you can have compliance, but you really need commitment.
It's interesting because in a lot of ways that plays into what we're facing as a nation now here in the U.S. and dealing with the economy. Yeah. You can tell people things, but you have to sort of motivate them to do it on their own. Anything from your 43 years at Coca-Cola that you can immediately point to that you think would make a difference in this economy and helping to start the turnaround?
I think you've got to get people to understand just how bad the situation really is. They see it in their everyday lives. I mean, that's why people are camped out in Wall Street, okay? They see it, but they still, I don't think, have realized that they're going to have to take a bit of pain in terms of getting it fixed.
Across the board, there's going to be a bit of pain.
Across the board. I mean, that's the way it is. I'm an Irishman, so you look at Ireland, okay? They've taken a lot of pain, and actually the people have taken it because they were led in a way where they understood that unless they did that, the other alternative was not really palatable.
So does the leadership need to step up as well? And I mean leadership across the board, in government, corporate America?
You know, it is always about leadership. And I think that is probably what's lacking in Western Europe. They're wrestling with this right now, and we'll see who steps up, because if you go back to what happened with the financial crisis, people really only step up when they're very close to the precipice. That's scary.
Yeah, it is. There's also an important rivalry within Coca-Cola that may hold some lessons for the United States, and that's the rivalry between Coke and Pepsi, which you see as a very healthy thing. Yeah. Is it going too far to make the analogy between the U.S. and China being a bit like Coke and Pepsi?
Well, I think it's obviously different because you're dealing with real countries, real people, not just companies. But why I talk about Pepsi being good, and one of the former leaders, great leaders, Don Keogh, said if Pepsi didn't exist, we'd have to invent them, is because what you're doing through competition, you're increasing the size of the pie. And to me, some of the debate that we have with China at the moment is how do we maintain our share and stop them getting more share? That's the wrong discussion. Discussion is how do we benefit from working together to enlarge the pie, to grow the global economy. That's how you grow jobs. And instead of fighting about where they go, seeing how we enable ourselves to be able to compete in all the new areas, and therefore increase our intellectual capital, and through that be able to compete. So it is about thinking about growing the pie rather than very narrowly, I want one of yours, and it's a zero-sum game.
Right. It's important to have that new way of thinking. We have to ask you before we let you go. I know it's a very closely held secret, and you couldn't reveal it, of course. 43 years at the company, and they still won't tell you what the secret formula is for
No,
Coke?
They didn't tell me the secret formula.
Really?
And I didn't even ask, because I know the system, and I know how closely it's held.
How many people know the secret formula?
I'm not even going to tell you that.
Don't even... All right. Great to have you with us. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much indeed.